Testing, testing. This is how I could have made around 15-ish, 14-ish RR today. Trading news. Fed Powell was speaking today. They cut by 25 basis points, which is why we got this crazy sell-off to the downside here on Euro. We got wick deviations here. Just trying to point out the obvious real quick. Crazy return of zone. That literally could have just been taken all the way down here. But yeah, let's start from scratch. All right, let's go down to 15-minute time frame. As you can see, zooming out, we got higher lows for higher highs to begin with. Pull my range from top to bottom. I see that we have some type of PO3-ish, but I like the wicks. Right here, you would not have gotten trapped because this was too tight looking of a third tap right here. But there was liquidity literally resting all down here that market maker wanted to use, which is why they grabbed this liquidity sweep, tapped into this demand. Tapped into this demand. Went back hard to make the third tap. Came back down slowly, giving us more liquidity over here. Slowly building up liquidity. Very nice. Coming down into lower time frames. On your third tap, regardless, I would have shorted right here on confirmations. Breaker structure was around right here, so I would have shorted that. Came down. Notice it wicked right here right after. So it came down, made some weird accumulation thing, came back up. Wicked this supply. I'll draw it out. On my entry, this is market maker supply. There we go. Wicks this, goes lower. Now my stop loss was right here, right? Drops down to here. So now I have a way more refined stop loss by the time I get to right here. This could be me. So it's up here, drops down to here. Now target's all the way down here. Now this market maker's wicked TP target, right? Building all of this liquidity, showing that market makers might want to come back up, which they did. They made like a really ugly accumulation right here, but it was valid. I say ugly because the RR wasn't there, but it was a valid accumulation. I wouldn't have taken it on live, but if you did, it turned out to be a reaccumulation, which gave you a better entry to put your stop loss to in profits, and you could have like potentially even added more on it, which is very interesting. That I'm gonna show right now. So for instance, if this wasn't a clean breaker structure, this was only like a 2-ish RR. So your technical target would have been like right here on breaker structure, and then you would have got taken out. So I would have been out of my short position right here at around 6-ish, like 6-ish, yeah, 6 RR. So I made 6 RR on the short. I'm longing it for another 2 RR. I get TP'd on it, or best case scenario, which I never do. This is like, I would have never did this, but let TP run. I noticed that I got rejected, and then I would have seen that I made another accumulation that had an ugly breaker structure again, but it was super obvious to take it right here. another 2-ish RR. I think it was really only like 1.5. So basically around equilibrium, and then you would have took that higher. Oh sorry, here. So if your entry was right here, I would have moved my stop loss to like third tab confirmations on breaker structure, which would have been right here. And if I wanted to add whatever, then I would have made money on that long. However, what I would have did personally, I wouldn't have traded either of them because I only go for 3-hour setups. So I would have saw these accumulations as just simply +1 confirmations that market makers are indeed playing exactly how I'm thinking they're playing. Market makers make this liquidity up here. That's why they made these accumulations. Retail's longing. They're getting FOMO. Right here taps back into this old supply that they tapped into earlier, but they didn't end up finishing tapping all of it, which is why I kept it right there. Market makers came back for it, took out all the supply. Now from here, this was around when Fed was talking. Breaker structure right here on the wick. You see a wick deviation again, taking everybody out. Even more confluences. And then right when the news was told that it was cut, that's when it absolutely dropped. Would have netted you another 5R right there. So you could have made 12RR, probably what I would have realized, but if you were an absolute sniper, you could have made another 2RR and another, like, say 2RR. Another 4RR right there. But yeah. This was October 29, 2025.